Hey everybody, Neil here from Post to Post. This is a very conflicting video for me to make. We're talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs, kind of my arch nemesis, but on this channel we do talk about every single team in the NHL. You can see lots of jerseys behind me, and even though I'm not a Maple Leafs fan, that does include the Toronto Maple Leafs. We have to talk about them and other teams when things go wrong and things go right. And of course, because of the jerseys in the background, we talk a lot about design and stuff. So if you're interested in hockey, design, logos, and all that stuff, tune in on Fridays on the channel for Jersey Concepts. But in terms of actual hockey, in terms of what truly matters in the world of hockey, not logos, not jerseys, what happens every year in these beautiful couple of months of April, May, June? And I'm not talking about the weather. I'm talking about the NHL playoffs. And I am so conflicted. I am so conflicted in this video because we're talking about a team that I almost legally cannot like. Okay? I legally cannot like this team. But as a hockey fan, regardless of who I actually cheer for, and if you know me, you know who I cheer for. But as a hockey fan first, I'm frustrated. I'm really frustrated. But I'm also happy that it happened at the same time. Let's rewind a bit and let's just take a glance, an overall glance at their history since 2017, basically the core four era. So 2017 we'll start around there. Lost in the first round. 2018 lost in the first round. 2019 lost in the first round. 2020 lost in the qualifying round. That was during the COVID pandemic year. 2021 lost in the first round. 2022 lost in the first round. 2023 lost in the second round. Bit of a win, if you want to call it that. 2024 lost in the first round. 2025, the year that just happened, lost in the second round. So we've set the stage, okay? This is 8 years now of failure, essentially. If you had the conversation with a Toronto Maple Leafs fan in 2015 and say, hey, coming up in like a couple of years, your team's going to go on a run and make the playoffs 8 years in a row, they would be very pleased. They would be very happy to see that. And it's a bit of two things. It's not just that they're making the playoffs and not going all the way. It's that they're making the playoffs and almost turning into a different team. And turning into a different team almost night by night. It's not that they're not improving. They've made extreme improvements in net, on the back end, up front depth-wise, bringing in experience like Tavares and Tanev and even like Pacioretty. He's old now, right? He was a captain of a former team. He's got playoff experience. He's a goal scorer. A little slow, but you bring him in for some guidance and for some depth. Little did we know that Pacioretty was going to be one of the best Toronto Maple Leafs in the entire playoffs. Don't know if anyone predicted that, let alone if he would actually play. So it's really, you can't really look in a specific area and in a specific year and say, oh, that's why they lost. That's why they lost. It's almost this combination of a bunch of things, but most importantly, what's kind of going on up here in the brains of the core four, maybe the front two. We'll call them the front two, Matthews and Marner. I think Nylander of them all has been, at least in the last couple of years, by far the most consistent. And consistent in the regular season, consistent in the playoffs, and between the two. For some reason, Matthews and Marner can light it up in the regular season, and then in the playoffs, in big games, they're a little bit invisible. That's an issue. That's a big issue. And if it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, you can say, okay, maybe the puck didn't go our way, or make whatever kind of excuse that you want. But after 8 years of the same thing, and all the changes that you've made, and how stubborn you've been as a team to not make crazy changes and blow it up and get rid of possibly some of these guys that might have issues playing in big games, you just continue to ice essentially the same team. You bring in little pieces thinking that'll help, but it doesn't help. You can make some improvements here or there, but the main issue seems to be not an actual hockey issue, not a roster on paper issue. It seems to be a mental issue. For whatever reason, even if they say they take accountability and have in the past years, Matthews and Marner, their words don't translate to future playoff play. It's as simple as that. It just simply does not translate. So either they were lying when they've been taking accountability the past couple of years, or they genuinely cannot, they can't control themselves in these big games. They get nervous. They get too nervous. Listen, it's Game 7. Everyone's nervous, okay? But you have to rise above that. That's what makes great players great. They get beyond those moments. And there's players on Toronto that are doing that. If you're the leaders of the team, you have to be the primary drivers. And they're just not. So I don't see any scenario, and I guess I've said this in the past, and I can't believe it's not happened yet, okay? Why are we still talking about this? But I can't see any future where this team remains the same that it is in terms of who the leaders are and the big names on the dotted line for the roster sheet. Okay, Marner is almost certainly gone. Okay, he is going to sign somewhere else. It's likely not going to be in Toronto. I don't know why he would come back, or even why Toronto would want him to come back. So Mitch Marner, we could theorize Carolina. Maybe he'll go to some other East team. I personally think he's going West. He wants out of this situation in Toronto. He grew up a Maple Leafs fan, if I'm not mistaken. He loves the city. He loves the team. But I think he just needs to get out of the light a little bit. He needs to go West. Maybe he goes to Colorado and tries to do something and get an actual cup. Maybe he goes to Utah, kind of a team going through a rebuild, a young team, and a new city. Maybe there's opportunity there. Not a lot of spotlight in Utah, considering that the team's history hasn't been super successful, so the expectations are quite low for Utah. Maybe that's what he does. Either way, I don't see Mitch Marner on the Toronto Maple Leafs next year. However, like I just said about a minute ago, I've said this before, and many have said this before. So who knows? Matthews is staying unless he literally requests a trade. Tavares is almost certainly going. I can't imagine he'll come back. We had just talked about Marner. He's probably gone. I think if you remove some of those contracts, you could still build a team that was super competitive, and I hope Toronto does that. Shanahan has to be gone. He has to be gone. There is no scenario where he's not gone. If he remains, like I'm to the point where I don't feel bad. If he remains, I'm not going to feel bad moving forward, because it's going to get to the point, and maybe it's already there, that they deserve what they're getting. So that's the conflicting part for me. As a non-Maple Leafs fan, I like that they continue to suffer, okay, because they almost deserve it, really. But on the other side, the hockey fan in me, I'm tired. I don't want teams to suffer and stuff. I like underdogs. I like when teams rise and do well, and I like the wave in the flow. Panthers are in the high wave right now. Okay, they were low for a very long time, and now they're coming up. Those are the stories that I like, and I think that Toronto was on that arc, and they just couldn't get it done. And I'm waiting for that wave just to get bigger, and it's not getting bigger. And I think the wave needs to dip down a little bit before it starts to rise up again. And I think that it's absolutely time. As a hockey fan, it's absolutely time. And that's the frustrating part. So I'm very conflicted internally. I'm happy, but I'm sad or mad at the same time. I'm not sure if that translates or makes sense, but I've always considered myself a hockey fan versus a Montreal Canadiens fan. But as I've started to do this channel or talk about hockey online since 2017, I feel way more like a hockey fan than any specific team like Montreal or anything. I love hockey, and I love cheering for stories and players, not so much just the Montreal Canadiens. They're my favorite team. They always will be, but I really do enjoy cheering for players and stories and arcs. And if Noah's Ark was in Toronto right now, I think a couple of patrons would be booted off the ship. We'll say that. So I think it's to the point now where it's not like other teams. They're like, oh, we need a number one defenseman, right shot defenseman, or something like that, or we need a really good goaltender to bring it in. I think any change in Toronto, any big change in Toronto, is the right move. Don't even care what it is. Don't care who you bring in. Don't care who you send out. Just any kind of drastic, egregious change in Toronto is going to be the right decision, because it's the opposite of what's happening now. And what's happening now is not successful. So as a hockey fan, I'm just asking and praying for change. Give me big change, whatever that means. That's what I think about the future of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think of my Maple Leafs friends, and I genuinely feel so bad for them, because my team has been not a great team for the past, 10 years or 11 years. Couple of years in there, they've looked okay, but I expected to suffer. Toronto Maple Leafs fans were finally to the point in their life. It's been a long journey for the Toronto Maple Leafs, okay? But a lot of Maple Leafs fans were to the point in their life where they saw that light at the end of the tunnel in 2017. And then 2017 hit, 2018, and a couple of roadblocks or whatever, but there's still time. There's still time. Well, we look at the age of these guys now. Don't look this up. I'm going to ask you a question, okay? But don't look this up and just answer in your head or out loud. How old is John Tavares? In my mind, John Tavares is like 37, 38. He's not. How old is Mitch Marner? In my mind, Mitch Marner is like 24 or 25. John Tavares is 34. Mitch Marner is 28. They're only 6 years apart. That blows my mind. I cannot believe that John Tavares is only 6 years older than Mitch Marner. That doesn't even make sense to me, because I feel the level of maturity between the two is drastic. I've watched many videos of both as people outside of hockey in interviews and on these, on the YouTube team pages and stuff where they go behind the scenes with players. Both seem like really good people, like super, super great people. But on the ice as players, there's no comparison. Like John Tavares, as old as he is now, he's still giving 100%. Like he's still back-checking every single time and making good plays. Mitch Marner, there's opportunities for him to back-check more, and there are way more opportunities for him to play more responsibly. He's been in the league a long time now, okay? He's almost 30. How or why you are making no-look spinorama passes into the middle of the ice, that's something you do in the QMJHL or the WHL or something, because you're trying to stand out, you're trying to impress maybe a scout, and there's just less risk, okay? That doesn't happen in the NHL for good reason, okay? For good reason. Guys don't do that. And Mitch Marner has not learned that lesson. He did it last year in the playoffs, he did it this year in the playoffs, and he did it the previous year in the playoffs as well, and likely beyond that. So, like, there's lessons not being learned here. So the level of maturity between Matthews, Marner is vastly different compared to Tavares. As I film this video, I feel myself getting frustrated, and I go back to the point where I feel bad for my Toronto Maple Leafs friends. Like, if I'm this upset, and I don't even cheer for the team, how do Leafs fans feel? And I think that has me thinking too. Like, yeah, as a Canadiens fan, I'm happy that the Toronto Maple Leafs are doing poorly, but I'm not happy for my Toronto Maple Leafs friends. Like, they don't deserve that. No Maple Leafs fans deserve that. The team should not be blaming the fans for putting pressure on the team. That's completely ridiculous. So although it hurts me to wear this hat, I do it because I talk about all teams on this channel, but I also do it as a shout out to my Maple Leafs friends who are suffering big time. I hope to you directly, if you're one of my friends in real life and you're a Maple Leafs fan, or you don't know me personally and just through this video and you're a Maple Leafs fan, I am truly sorry for what you're going through, and I hope to God there are changes coming next year, because this cannot continue. This cannot continue. I just took a break from filming just real quick, and I watched my prediction video for this series, Florida-Toronto, and I thankfully did not choose the Toronto Maple Leafs. I did choose Florida, which is good. Thank you, past Neil. But anyways, I'll wrap it up there. I don't know what else to say. Like, what else do you say? You just have to sit and wait. Yeah, I got to sit and wait to see what the team actually does, and hope for next year. And if there's big change, then you start to feel good about the next season upcoming, and kind of start this little bit of a rebuild, a mini rebuild, I guess, for the team. I hope it happens. If it doesn't, I'm going to be extremely disappointed, and I think a lot of Leafs fans would be as well. But let me know how you feel down below in the comment section. Thanks for taking this time out of your day to sit with me and talk some hockey. I appreciate it. We're going to be talking to Toronto Maple Leafs even more on this channel coming up, because as this season ends, I'm starting a new series called Redesigning the NHL Home Jersey and Away Jersey. It's a redesign challenge for myself. We look at designs from the community every single Friday on the channel. Ton of fun. But I wanted to spend this summer redesigning the jerseys myself and going from team to team to team. We're going to start with the Toronto Maple Leafs jersey, and the challenge has very specific rules. I'm not just going to do whatever I want. That challenge has rules, and those rules apply to every single team's redesign. So we're going to start with Toronto. That video will be coming soon on the channel, and then we'll continue on from there. So if you're new, we'd love to have you on board to talk lots of hockey, lots of design, lots of everything. So jump on board, hit the subscribe button down below if you're new. And I know it's cliche, but it does help the channel when you hit that like button. So if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. If you did enjoy the video, obviously. And of course, have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon. Adios.